Real Dad Talk, episode 83, Fatherhood.
Welcome everyone. Chris B here along with Rob K. How you doing, Rob?
Chris, I'm doing great. Excited about our next guest.
Yes, Mr. Cash. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're doing good. Thank you so much for joining us.
A pleasure, guys.
Yeah, we love your content. I know I follow it on a daily basis. Anytime you have anything out there, I'm usually watching the whole video, long or short. It's really insightful.
So let's do this. Cash first. What's your tag on Instagram?
It's my name, Kash Khan, Khan official, right?
And you're an entrepreneur. You're a speaker in the longevity.
Yeah, I actually didn't come from this big. I actually was in the technology world. I consulted on tech apps and startups and helping them grow, and so I was kind of like a business consultant guy. And then I got sick, and then I had to heal myself because I didn't realize doctors don't know how to heal; they know how to mask, right? In general, there's some doctors that do great work. Um, and so I went down this sort of rabbit hole of functional health, learned of what's actually making people sick and healthy. And I started a research company because I figured I want more people to know. And I built this genetic research company around it. And all the content you guys see me talking about, these are all the things I keep learning every day from our actual patients and clients that actually got better, right? So that's how I got to where we are now.
Yeah, your content scares the living daylights out of me. I don't know if I should have my legs up or if I should be drinking milk or if I should be staying away from baked baby carrots. I mean, you have kids, right? What are your dad stats?
So I got three kids. I got an 8-year-old girl, 9-year-old boy, and a 16-year-old. I also have a niece who's 17 who basically, father passed away young, so I was the dad for her, basically, right? So I'll call it four. And two are like getting ready for university, and two are still fooling around as young ones. But yeah, it really drives me. So my dad passed away when I was 17, right? He was older, but he was also sick, and I had to take care of my mom and my sister, so I got to work. And that hit me because in my mid 30s, I started getting sick, like I was saying earlier, and I had kids, and I was like, I don't want the same situation. Like, and I thought, okay, dad died early, I'm probably gonna die early. And then I realized, no, it's in my control, and I actually feel better now than I ever have.
So, if I may ask, what was your illness?
I had a bunch of stuff. So I'd never been sick, and then all of a sudden, I had eczema so bad that I couldn't even open my left eye. It was like sealed shut from inflammation. I had psoriasis all over my body. I had gut issues, didn't want to leave the house because it was so unpredictable. Migraines, which was the worst part. That's what actually drove me to go see a doctor. I was fighting through everything other than the migraines. Um, I also had reflux where I would wake up just feeling horrible, didn't know what I could eat. So, anyways, but my simple question to doctors, because I had never been sick, was like, what did I do? This can't be a coincidence that all these things just happened all at the same time. What did I do? And I couldn't get that answer. And the answer was, you have eczema, you have psoriasis, you have this, you have that, and multiple pills, multiple creams, and like, if you're not complaining of pain, we've succeeded. Like, that can't make any sense because this didn't just happen from coincidence. So that's what drove me down my own research path and being this sort of tech entrepreneur, solving problems. Problem solving was what I lived and breathed. So I was like, there must be a better way. And so I found that better way through functional medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, naturopathy, homeopathy, you name it. I investigated all of them and learned that there is a path to root cause health, and chronic disease is an optional. The pace at which you age is optional. I'm healthier now, and I'm 45 than when I was in my 20s.
So right now, you have three kids.
Yeah.
Four if you count the niece.
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, you're responsible for a lot of lives, or I mean,
Yeah.
you're responsible for their lives, right?
Yeah.
Just like we are for our kids. What do you think about this world? In the sense of, I don't want to go too deep. I want to go with the content you have out there, from sunscreen to toilet paper, to microplastics, to all the mess that we have going all around us. And I'm not going to be a theorist or anything like that. How do we safeguard these children? I mean, we can try the best we can, but
Give some baby steps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's start with the context, which is when we were in school, 6% of children had chronic disease. Today, our children, it's 60%.
Wow.
I can tell you that genetically, biology-wise, nothing has changed. So that eye opener is if the kids are the same as us when we were kids, hormonally, detoxification-wise, all the systems are firing the same way. What's changed is the context, which that in itself proves to us that our choices cause or prevent chronic disease, right? And so most of it is metabolic. So a lot of it has to do with food. And it doesn't necessarily mean kids are eating or overeating, eating too much sugar, but what the processed stuff they're eating, for example, high fructose corn syrup, right? If you eat a lot of snacks and cookies and things like that that are made with corn syrup gets processed through your liver, fructose in general, and it induces a process called lipogenesis, which is fat production. 600% increase in fat production. 6 days. If you eat high fructose corn syrup for 6 days, your liver is going to go 600%, sorry, increase in fat production. So you wonder why there's so much childhood diabetes and obesity and all these pudgy kids when we didn't look like that when we were young, right? Then you look at the seed oils, which have linoleic acid, omega-6 in them, and they are, picture if your stomach is this bag, now picture you have a tree that's rooting itself into the side wall of the bag and the roots are ripping the wall apart. That's what's happening with these seed oils, destroying your gut. The same thing's happening with glyphosates that are sprayed on foods, right? And so all of these things that we think they're safe because they're in the store, FDA doesn't even look at, right? If you actually understand what the FDA is responsible for and what they don't look at this stuff. And what they also don't look at is processing chemicals. So when it takes, like when you see the word natural flavor, some additive, you see one word, but you don't know there's 50 to 60 chemicals required to process things to get it into your food. So if you just take food alone, we could spend the entire hour just talking about that, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
But Robert Kennedy, right? Robert Kennedy Jr. is been on the task force for this, right?
Yeah.
Like red dye, whatever.
Yeah.
Like removing that from products. I mean, is it too late to be doing this right now? Because at this point, the damage is done, or what do you think?
So damage done, meaning that children are struggling, but the human body is very resilient. It's designed to recover.
Especially
If
the liver.
the chance. Yeah. So there's a guy that I met some years ago. His name was Dr. William Sears, and he was actually on the cover of Time magazine because he was a typical medical doctor. And then one day he had this epiphany that I don't actually need to medicate illness. I need to remove the burden creating the illness, and the body will fix itself. And he wrote this book about what he calls the internal pharmacy, which means the human body already has everything it needs to fix every problem. If you break your bone, you repair. If you have inflammation, you repair, right? If given the chance, what does that mean? Means if you remove the toxic burden, the overwhelm, then you get to a threshold where the body can actually start fixing itself. But if you're like at a 9 out of 10 of the toxic burden, you're never catching up to it, right? Yeah.
What I was going to say is let's dumb it down for a second to people like me who on the exact language and this and that, which I am. But give me a list of 10 items that kids are drawn to, that contain these preservatives and chemicals and so on and so forth that we might not turn the bag around or turn the container around and look at the products to see the items that you're talking about. What are these? Give me a few of those that we can all kind of.
Here's some might be obvious, some might not be so obvious. All your packaged salty snacks, your chips and all those things that are full of preservatives, chemicals to keep them into their form and fresh, right? All your American enriched flour breads where the wheat fiber has been stripped. So picture God makes this perfect plant, and then we take the fiber and only sell the internal kernel, which is sugar, right? So there's that. The not so obvious, your processed meats like your salami, bologna, pepperoni, all that stuff. If you look at the Environmental Protection Agency, which regulates toxins, processed meat is equivalent to a stage 1 carcinogen, which means asbestos, mercury, It's literally as cancer causing and toxic as that. Not because of the meat, because of what it takes to make it this beautiful pink color, the nitrates and all these other things. We demand pretty food, right? So that's
Yeah.
another. One big one that we don't think about is hormone disruption. Why are girls getting their periods at 8 years old now instead of 12? Why are 30% of teenage girls considering suicide in the United States? 30%. It's a ridiculous number, right? Why do young boys not look like young men, right? Why aren't they ripped and lean and strong and fast? Why do they have anxiety? Hormone disruption. So everything you put on your skin that has a fragrance, that has a giant list of chemicals, most of those chemicals, when they enter your body doesn't know what they are, so it treats it as estrogen and overly estrogenizes you, right? So hormone disrupting. And you can go to the Environmental Working Group. It's a non-for-profit website, and you can see all these products, and they tell you what's safe and what's not safe. EWG.org. I would say all your canned and bottled, not so much the bottle, but the canned drinks, and not just the sodas and the soft drinks, but anything in a can. The inside of the can is plastic, right? We see a metal can, but there's plastic on the inside.
Is it me? But when we were younger, it was not like that. It was
Yeah.
like it was aluminum, right? Like I'm not losing my mind. Like before, it used to be
Yeah.
pure aluminum.
Yes.
Now, like even this, like having this Celsius,
Yes.
unfortunately, is plastic lined inside, right?
Plastic lining on the inside.
So
Yeah. And so
all
you're,
this. So I was reading some. Not to cut you off. I was reading something the other day, which really was kind of it was on X, and they're saying I don't know the exact details, but Congress is going to look into microplastics in our brain now.
yeah.
They're saying that in our brains, there. Imagine a spoon, right? An actual physical spoon.
Okay.
There's that much microplastics in our brain. Like the weight of a spoon, there's that much and now it's causing awareness. Like, oh, now we got to look into this. But why are there plastics in our brain? You know, unless you, like I said, we're consuming it every which way through our drinks. I heard even through beer. I'm like, why does beer have microplastics? I guess like
Yeah.
like I
It's
went
still, it's the cans, it's the cheap bottles, and a big one are cooking utensils, all the coated non-stick surfaces.
Mm.
Right? They leach. If you have one single scratch in that non-stick frying pan, it's leaching about 9,000 microplastics per sort of square centimeter. Um, Microwaving plastics, you're getting millions of nanoparticles of plastic. The average American ingests about a credit card worth of plastic every week.
wow.
Yeah, between all your packaged goods, between your cosmetics that you put on your skin, between what goes in the microwave, all that stuff in total, it's about and it's very difficult to find a young boy now that doesn't have microplastic in his testicles.
I mean, what are
Yeah.
the substitutes to all this
It,
data?
it all exists. So remember, there's two challenges here. American culture and consumption. We demand too much. Life is much simpler than it needs to. It should be simpler than what we make it, right? Second is the convenience, and you don't need nonstick. You need to learn how to use a stainless steel pan, right? Which is you heat it up first, let it cool down, and then it doesn't stick, right? And so all of the knowledge that we had, we lost and traded it off for conveniences. There's ways to do everything, right? Everyone survived without these things prior to, and the variety. So when you start to eat nutrient dense food, go try eating some grass fed meat with liver and kidney and organs, and you'll see how little you actually need, right? And the fluff and filler of low density nutrition makes you need more, right? But then also there's all these additives and fillers. And what if it's not nutrient dense? What is it? It's an anti-nutrient. It's something else. So just knowing, going back to basics and simplicity in our habits, and you'll see the happiest people just like, I'm going to go move on a farm and just live with the animals and get fresh eggs every day. And how
Sure.
good does it look and feel, right? So that's a big part, is our culture and what we demand is far more than what we need.
I mean, but it's really tough to. I mean, these days you're hearing about chicken being whatever. What do you call it? They're putting water in chicken, or they're chlorine. What is it?
It gets corny. It's, when you buy these sort of, a breast or a leg piece, right? They get chlorinated. Again, it's this demand of like, it's got to look good. I don't want to know what a chicken looks like, right? That's where we become. If you actually show a average household a chicken that's being defeathered and cut open with the guts removed and all that. Like, I'm not gonna eat that.
Right.
Yeah, I remember went overseas a couple years ago, and the strawberries, for example, the strawberries we have in the States are like this. In LA to New York, the strawberries are huge.
Yeah,
I went overseas, and the strawberry was like this, like tiny, and
yeah,
inside when you cut it, there's no white. Like I remember there was no like white. It's just all red.
yeah.
It's so bizarre. I mean, we're eating. I mean,
Yeah, but if you want strawberries, where are you going to get them from out here? You got to go to the store.
you have to grow your own.
So there's two thoughts here. One is we are lucky now. So 5 years ago, this was a very difficult conversation because there weren't alternatives, right? But the amount of awareness, the amount of people making noise, myself included, has pushed the need for change. And there are people building the right stuff. There are regenerative farms, and it's very difficult to name a place in the U.S. where you aren't close to one. You should be able to find one, right? So instead of like, we believe I'm supposed to go to the grocery store. Why? Why? Why not go to a regenerative farm and buy food that got plucked straight out of the ground, that wasn't sprayed, that has good, healthy soil with microbial activity that's full of nutrition, as opposed to a box of something, right? So again, convenience. Make it a weekend thing. Go to the farm and get your stuff.
Grab the kids, go out to
Yeah.
the farm. You know, I saw your short on, eat blueberries till you turn blue.
Yeah.
I love blueberries, but then you're sitting there talking about, you know, not the blueberries in the grocery store, but the blueberries that have to fight the weather conditions and the predators, and they're growing in a tough environment,
Yeah.
which produces all the nutrients inside. But again, am I going to be able to get these at the regenerative farms, or where am I going?
Yeah, so even if you buy, let's say a few simple thoughts here, right? So if you go to Costco, for example, instead of buying, fresh, ready to go organic blueberries, go buy the wild frozen blueberries that are in the freezer. Why? Because if they're frozen, that means they are ripe when they were plucked. Most of our fruit gets ripened in the back of a truck as it's being transported. It gets sprayed with chemicals to ripen it faster. Wild means it came from a bush that's not farmed, and it's frozen means that it was ripened and then frozen. So you're eating real food, right? And you'll notice those blueberries, just like you were saying, are a lot smaller, right? Because they're real, they're nutrient dense. Second thought, if you're buying fish, buy wild caught, right? You're not going to go buy, even if it's organic, if it's not wild caught, there's a loophole where the Atlantic farm salmon is one of the most toxic foods you can eat in terms of how sick it will make you, right? Farmed Atlantic salmon. So, farmed real Atlantic salmon, wild stuff, is you're not allowed to fish it because it's extinct. Sorry, almost extinct, I should say. And so there's a loophole where they created a new breed called wild Atlantic salmon, which is not wild, it's farmed, but it's called wild. That's the name of the fish. Right? And this is how the FDA just letting whatever happen. And so the word you're looking for is caught, wild caught, which means it was actually caught in the wild. So even just that one thing, if you change that one thing, your meat and your chicken, what did you say about chicken? Buy pasture raised organic. Do not buy a chicken breast that's already peeled, and for your convenience, also chlorinated so it looks pretty. It's also injected with chlorine water to make it more plump and look more, like you want to buy this thing. It looks juicy. Go buy the pasture-raised organic chicken, which is smaller, it's gamier, but it's so nutrient dense. You're going to find you're going to eat less and get full faster, right?
Is air chilled okay? I heard that if it's air chilled, or
Yeah,
does that work as well?
The hell's it?
yeah.
Because they're not. They say air chilled is like I don't know exact science to it, but they're saying all these other ones are filled with chlorine. Air chilled is not. So
Okay.
that's what I heard. I don't know.
Yeah, so a different way of preserving, getting it to market, which is the right way, right? Versus injecting it with chemicals and filling it with liquid and rinsing it with chlorine so it looks good. Same thing with fruit. When you buy a real organic fruit versus chopped up fruit for convenience, which is then again sprayed with chlorine to make sure it looks pretty for a long time, right? So just knowing, in as much as you go back to your ancestral habits and do less, but do more with what you do. You don't need a fridge full of every option. You need to have what you need today and for the next couple of days and do it right. You know, you don't need a pantry full of snacks. You need one or two healthy, good things.
Such
Uh,
as,
sorry?
such as.
Such as, okay. So there is a requirement for a palate shift, right? So one thing your kids are going to feel is like, this isn't good. I don't like it, right? But once they get used to it, they'll never be able to go back. Let me give you an example. I'm in Toronto. I'm in Canada. My daughter, we went to Disneyland 2 years ago. The one guilty pleasure for her is cake pops from Starbucks, right? Once a week or so, she'll like, hey, I'm having a cake pop. I was like, okay, fine. We're not gonna say no to everything, right? She'll have it. We're in Disneyland. She's like, hey, Starbucks, can I get a cake pop? Yeah, sure, we're in Disneyland. Why not? She took one bite and she spat it out. Why? Because just the same, when I was in the airport in Texas, I think, there's an iced tea drink that I drink in Canada, which has like 6 or 9 grams of sugar in it. And then I took a sip and I spat it out because the same exact drink in the United States has 48 grams of sugar.
Oh, wow.
Right? The same cake pop that is sweetened with real sugar in Canada is sweetened with high fructose corn syrup in the United States.
Yeah, it's like Coke from Mexico or Coke from the US.
Yeah. And so why am I saying all this? Because my 7-year-old, well, now 8-year-old daughter is no different than anybody else's 8-year-old daughter. Your daughter or son is just become accustomed to what that flavor is, and they're not used to what real food tastes like.
Sure.
So it's just a transition, right? So the transition of getting them used to what real things are, they won't be able to go back to the garbage. They themselves will not want it anymore.
Yeah, they showed us labels. They show us labels of like the foods that we were raised on, like Reese's peanut butter cups or Snickers or whatever it may be. I don't want to say McDonald's because I don't know what's going on with McDonald's, but like these
That
foods,
was like going to a steakhouse back in the days.
yo, back in the tree. But now, like you're talking about, all the ingredients in foods changed. Instead of having 3, 4 ingredients, now it's like a list of them. Half of them you can't even read, and it's like what is safe for our kids to eat? I mean, because my son's on the side of, he's more health conscious. He's an athlete. My daughter is more like, I like eating things like boba drinks and all these different sugary things. So I'm like, I worry sometimes. I'm like, are they ingesting this stuff? Is it going to be bad for their system? I've heard correlations between sugar and this, between diabetes to ADD. You see all these things that are put out there. I mean, you take a grain of salt at a time. Should we be worried about these products that have these crazy lists of ingredients?
Yeah. So what those ingredients do to your body, one is they disrupt your hormones. So if you're going to give your daughter those foods, know that you're giving her horrible menstrual cycles, chance of infertility, greater risk of breast cancer down the line, right? So hormone disruption, and hormones, when they're overwhelming in volume, cause inflammation. They will hurt you, right? And know for your son, you're going to create anxiety and hair loss and acne and lack of libido and lack of vigor and laziness and all sorts of stuff if you disrupt his hormones. That's one. Second thing that giant list of ingredients is going to do is destroy the gut. So there's, like you mentioned, the boba tea. There's things like carrageenan in there. There's seed oils in there that thicken stuff. Those things destroy your gut. So what they lead to is what we call leaky gut, where the actual structure of the gut wall, it becomes sort of permeable with little micro holes, and whatever you're now consuming, instead of going through your digestive tract, part of it leaks straight out of the side wall of your gut into your bloodstream, and that stuff can cross your blood-brain barrier, which means it enters your brain and it causes neural inflammation and ADHD, anxiety, depression, all sorts of stuff.
So now give me the other side. This is all the damaging stuff. Now give me all the gut enhancing.
Yeah. So bone broth. We forgot how to eat. When we just eat steak. We don't eat the organs, we don't eat the tendons, we don't drink the broth. When you eat the whole thing as the way it was intended, it's a perfect food. When you only eat the muscle, it can hurt you, right? It can cause things like cancer and growth hormone elevation, etc. But everything else, it's balanced if you eat the whole thing. So anyways, bone broth. Just go to your butcher. They'll give the bones away for free and just boil them for a couple hours and drink the broth. That is a gut healing tool. Aloe vera. Grow an aloe vera plant at home and just throw it into a smoothie once in a while. There's teas you can drink. Slippery elm, marshmallow root, sip on them instead of, teach your kid, throw a little bit of honey in there, it tastes good. That's going to fix their gut. And for someone who's really struggling, we now have new tools like peptides where you can just move a little quicker, right? And there's a peptide called BPC 157 that will, as if you take it in oral form, will really quickly fix your gut. So there are tools, right? And this goes back to, if we ate the food in ancestral ways with ancestral ingredients, meaning they were high density, they were already designed to fix your body, not hurt your body. So it's kind of the beauty of getting rid of the old habits. Not only you're stopping the damage, but you're now adding something that actually heals you.
Right.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, on that note, as far as ancestral and beneficial and this and that, you had a couple shorts about milk and how milk benefits children. Now, there's 50 types of milk out there, right?
Yeah.
You got almond milk, you got coconut milk, you got skim milk, so you were talking about the correlation between ingesting milk with the child's height. How does that?
So, first of all, when I say milk, what am I talking about? I don't mean industrially processed cow dairy, and I don't mean almond milk, coconut milk, all that stuff, right? In fact, I would say oat milk, almond milk will slowly hurt you very bad. They're thickened with seed oils, they're sugar bombs, they will cause metabolic disaster, right? If you get raw organic dairy, like real milk, everything you hear about milk hurts you, milk is bad for your gut, milk is inflammatory, is because it's changed. The milk you buy from the grocery store isn't what came from the cow. It was changed. What came from the cow has all the enzymes, all the right proteins, the perfect blend, where it not only doesn't hurt you, it helps you. So what's going on with vitamin D in dairy and how it gets you at high levels and a very high bioavailable form of vitamin D, not just like taking a supplement. Yeah, you'll see kids grow. You'll see that there's countries, for example, in Europe. If you look at the countries that have the highest life expectancy, like Switzerland, for example, they eat a lot of dairy, cheese, and fat. The things that we're told will hurt you in the United States. But when you look at their dairy, cheese, and fat, it's illegal to import American dairy in places like Europe, places like China, places like where I live, Canada. Illegal. China will not allow American dairy to enter the country because of the nature of the hormone disruption, the glyphosate that the cows are eating on the grass, how dirty it is. It's not milk anymore.
Okay, so how do you access that, the good dairy?
So there's many, so raw dairy is illegal, right? There are many people that sell it now. Many people, and nobody cares anymore. Everyone's pushing hard, selling it, especially like you mentioned, RFK is opening doors to things. What I do is I give my kids goat milk. So goat by nature, you can't industrially farm it like a cow. It's a very smart animal. You can't lock it up. It needs to graze, it needs to go out and eat the grass. By nature, it's just a clean, healthy milk, and kids can't tell the difference, right? It's also more nutrient dense. It's also a smaller animal, so it's digestibility of the dairy is better. So that's what I do. They love it, and I still drink milk till today.
Me too. The one thing I find very surprising, I don't know if it's just me, but I'll go to any store and buy. My kids still drink milk. For me, I definitely can't handle it anymore. But milk for my kids, they still want it. They eat their cereal, whatever they do with it. I bought
type of milk.
Wait, but hold on. I open up the milk. Let's say day one. I come from the store, open up the milk, or they put in their cereal. 3 days later, the milk has already gone bad. The expiration date shows like a month away, and I go to my wife.
That was the other day.
Yeah, well, I go to my wife. I'm like smelling it. I'm like, why does it smell so bad? We just opened up 3 days ago. My daughter just opened up 3 days ago. Like milk goes bad like this these days. Like it's crazy. Like I remember growing up, I used to drink a ton of milk. My brothers and I used to drink milk like it was going out of style. Yes, but it was like. Now we buy milk and it's already like it goes to crap within a couple of days. Like I still don't understand that.
So American food is not designed in the way we think. We think there's some regulatory body that's looking over this stuff, and food is approved based on its health value. The things that drive American food are shelf life. How long does it last on the shelf? Ingredient cost, how profitable is it? and addictive nature of the flavor that you want to eat more. And fourth, that after you buy it, it expires. Right? This is how American food is designed. It's straight out money. That's all it is. And so, as an example, there's a fruit, just like what you're saying about the dairy. If you take the enzymes out, whatever, they know when someone's going to buy it and it's going to go bad. They know exactly how long it needs to last on the shelf and exactly how long it needs to be dead in your fridge. Same thing with fruits and vegetables. They now spray these fruits and vegetables with chemicals. You know, if you buy an apple in a store today, it was plucked from a tree probably a year ago.
What?
What?
Yeah. Yeah. Because the nature of feeding a nation that is so heavily consuming, you need to make sure there's no interruption to supply chains. So what they do is they now have chemicals. When you pluck an apple from a tree, you spray it and it kind of freezes it in time, right? And it lasts for a year. And now when they're ready to stock the store shelf, they spray it with another chemical that removes the first chemical, and now it rots in like a week, right? So it's designed to last for the commercial purpose, but it's designed to rot when it's in your home.
It's. I mean,
Depressing.
well, it's not depressing. It's
Very depressing.
I think no. I do disagree with you.
Well, it's enlightening, but it's depressing.
No, it's great insight because at the end of the day, this is knowledge that we didn't have before. I would rather
year.
well, I would rather not. For me, ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is not bliss at all. I would rather know than not know. But the only thing, like you're saying, is depressing is because
we didn't know.
We didn't know, and it's all over the place, you know. And our kids are like, we're trying to safeguard our kids, and like I said, they're every which direction. They're getting hit with different things.
I'm gonna take a trip to the farm next week.
Let's go. We'll record it. Real dad talk at the farm. I'm down. I'm down. It's amazing. I mean, it really blows my mind. Like I said, anytime we watch your content, like it's great because you really are teaching people about things that we would have never known before.
Yeah, I was about to put my legs up here. I'm like, man, 7% more blood flow. Okay.
He was asked
down for that.
He was asking me prior to the episode. He's like, should I start that way? I was like, no, man. But
if you do it for long enough, your hair might grow back. Who knows?
No, the reason you started talking about blood flow and that. I had 4 to 5 years ago, I had heart failure. 22 years ago, I had cancer. 2 years ago, I had cardiac arrest. I dropped to the ground. I was done.
Wow.
My wife's a nurse. She held the fort until the medics got there. They brought me back, and now I got a defibrillator pacemaker. So even though that 10 minutes with the legs up against the wall is funny to someone like me who can relate to that, and I need all the blood to go so my ejection fraction can go higher than where it's at, there's a lot of value in what you do. And for example, with me, with my own circumstance, and I'm sure it's with others, you connect at that point. And with all the material that you put out there, it's a blessing that you're impacting so many people. So thank you for your contribution.
Oh, thank you. Pleasure, man. It's for me, it's a place to vent because I see all this stuff every day. I just kind of need to scream from the rooftops so everyone knows,
Yeah, and we really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I know all our viewers and listeners will get a lot from this. And
goat milk.
Yeah, goat milk is definitely. And we're going to a farm next week, by the way. We're going to a farm.
We definitely will. I'm down.
Kash, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Pleasure, guys. Good talking to you.
For all our listeners out there, you can check out Kashif Khan Official on Instagram, correct? That's his page. You can find all these videos, his podcast as well.
He's got a book out too, right?
Yeah, The DNA Way. It's about the genetics of sort of how to use your DNA to slow your aging down and prevent disease. Yeah.
Great. So to all our listeners out there, please check it out. So much insight. And I mean, for us, we never get tired of it.
You'll have fun with it.
Thank you so much for coming on our show.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
To all our listeners out there, check us out at therealdadtalk.com. Also on Twitter and Instagram, The Real Dad Talk. And lastly, YouTube, Real Dad Talk. We'll check you out next time. Real Dad Talk.